Sunlight streams through the window, illuminating the steam rising from my latte. I scrolled through my phone, a familiar feeling of loneliness rising in my heart. Sundays are for family dinners, a tradition I haven't escaped, yet. My phone vibrated. That's my psychotherapist, Dr. Evans. Ready for another round? Reading his message, I laughed bitterly. Ready? It's the only family therapy I can afford. My doorbell rings, shattering the quiet. I open the door to find a well-dressed man in a pinstripe suit holding a folder. Mr. John? He asks. That's me, I reply cautiously. I'm with Confidential Investigations, he states, flashing a badge. I have something for you. Intrigued, I usher him inside. He lays the folder on the table and opens it, revealing a detailed report. My heart skips a beat as I see the first line. Subject, financial background, John. Who commissioned this? I demand, a cold fury rising in my chest. The investigator hesitates, then says, I'm not at liberty to disclose that information. He leaves, leaving me reeling. Who would investigate me? And why? Parents' house, living room, night. The familiar sense of pot roast and disappointment fill the air. My parents sit stiffly on the couch, their faces etched with worry. My brother, Mark, leans against the fireplace, his usual smug grin plastered on his face. My sister, Sarah, sits quietly beside her husband, glancing nervously between us. My mother clears her throat. Mark tells me you've had some unexpected financial success lately, she says, her voice laced with disbelief. I stared at them, dumbfounded. How do they know? I haven't told anyone about my work, I say, my voice tight. Mark scoffs. Typical John. Always keeping secrets. Don't be ridiculous, Mark, Sarah mutters, but her voice lacks conviction. Actually, I say, a dangerous calmness settling over me, I have some secrets of my own. I reach into my bag and pull out the investigator's report. My parents gasp in unison. This is about you hiring someone to spy on me, I say, my gaze fixed on Mark. Why? He blusters, it was just a little background check. To make sure you weren't some deadbeat living off the government. My blood runs cold. This isn't just about money. This is about their perception of me, their unwavering belief that I'm a failure. You think after all these years, that's all I am to you? I ask, my voice shaking with suppressed rage. The room fell silent, the air filled with tension and oppression. My parents avoided my eyes and looked shyly at the door. Sarah was restless and uncomfortable because she was caught in the crossfire. Mark puffed his chest out, trying to regain his composure. It was just a misunderstanding, my father mumbles, his voice barely audible. I scoff. A misunderstanding? You treated me like garbage for years, dismissing my dreams and belittling my achievements. And now that you think I have money, you suddenly want to act like a family? My words hang heavy in the air, the truth echoing through the room. My mother reaches out a hand, but I flinch away. Don't touch me, I say, my voice cold. You couldn't hug me when I needed it most, but now you want to pretend everything's okay? My anger escalates, fueled by years of pent-up emotions. The image of my younger self, ostracized and ridiculed, flickers in my mind. I figured out why you hired the investigator, Mark, I continue, my voice laced with venom. It wasn't about me. You were worried about yourself, weren't you? Worried your charade of a perfect life might crumble if anyone knew the truth. Mark's smug facade crumbles. He opens his mouth to deny it, but I cut him off. I hired one too, I revealed, a feeling of satisfaction washing over me. Go investigate, Mark. A collective gasp fills the room. My parents exchange worried glances. I reached into my bag and pulled out another folder, identical to the first. Interesting things, I say, flipping it open and scanning the contents. Multiple dues, undisclosed debts, several close calls with CPS. Mark's face turns pale. He tries to snatch the folder, but I hold it just out of reach. The irony, isn't it? I say, my voice dripping with sarcasm. All these years, you made me feel like the failure. Yet here you are, drowning in debt and secrets. Tears well up in my sister's eyes. She looked from me to Mark, her face filled with confusion and fear. Don't drag Sarah into this, Mark pleads, desperation creeping into his voice. No, Mark, I say, shaking my head. She gets dragged into it every time you mess up. Remember when you were arrested, and she had to deal with the fallout? My parents look away in shame. The unspoken truth hangs heavy in the air. They've always turned a blind eye to Mark's mistakes, shielding him while pushing me away. It's over, I announced and slammed the folder shut. I'm tired of being your place to push and vent. I'm done playing this family game. Parents' house, entryway, night. I stand by the door, coat in hand. The family dinner is in shambles, plates of untouched food scattered across the table. My parents stare at me, their faces etched with a mixture of guilt and resentment. I won't be coming to these dinners anymore, I say, my voice flat. Maybe it's time you finally focus on the son who actually needs your help. Mark opens his mouth to protest, but I cut him off. Don't, I warn, my voice low and dangerous. You've had enough chances. My mother tries to reach out, her voice trembling. Please, John, don't do this. But I turn away, tears blurring my vision. I can't bear to see their faces anymore, not after years of being treated like an afterthought. Stepping out into the cool night air, I feel a heavy weight lift from my shoulders. This isn't goodbye forever, but it's a step towards a future where their opinions no longer define me. Weeks have passed since the family dinner. I sit across from Dr. Evans, recounting the events. The raw emotions still linger, but a sense of resolve underpins my voice. It was like a dam broke, I say, years of pent-up frustration just spilling out. Dr. Evans nodded thoughtfully. It seems like it still needs time to calm down. But how do you feel now? Honestly? Relieved, I admit. It feels good to finally stand up for myself, even if it meant cutting ties with my family. It's important to set boundaries, even with loved ones, Dr. Evans says gently. But it's also important to acknowledge the pain. He's right. My parents and brother used to hold a significant space in my life, even if their presence was mostly negative. Letting go of that isn't easy. I still want a normal, warm family, which I never had, I admitted, my throat tight. My family won't look down on me or compare me to my brother. Dr. Evans offers a kind smile. Grief is a natural part of loss, even if the loss is chosen. It's okay to feel sad, angry, or even confused. He pauses, then asks, what about your sister? She hasn't contacted me, I say, a pang of sadness hitting me. But I know this is hard for her too. She's always walked on eggshells around Mark. Dr. Evans hums thoughtfully. Perhaps reaching out to her, when you're ready, could be a way to rebuild a healthy connection outside the family dynamic. The thought gives me pause. While I'm not ready to reconcile with my parents or brother, the idea of connecting with Sarah on my own terms holds some appeal. Coffee shop, a few days later. I sip my coffee, checking my phone for the umpteenth time. Finally, it buzzes. A text from Sarah, can we talk? Meet me at the park? A mix of apprehension and curiosity washes over me. Taking a deep breath, I reply, on my way. A moment later, park. I find Sarah sitting on a bench, her face etched with worry. As I approach, she stands up, her eyes filled with unshed tears. I'm so sorry, she says, her voice choked with emotion. I didn't know what Mark was doing, and I didn't know things were so bad between you and Mom and Dad. I know, I say softly. It's not your fault. We sit down on the bench, a comfortable silence settling between us. We talk for hours, catching up on life and sharing stories we couldn't share before. There was a newfound understanding between us, an acknowledgement of the dysfunctional family we grew up in and a shared desire to escape its mold. Return to the apartment that night. Standing by the window, I look out at the city lights. The events of the past few weeks replay in my mind. There's a sense of loss, but also a sense of liberation. I'm finally taking control of my life, building a future on my own terms. The phone rings. It's Dr. Evans. So, how did the meeting with your sister go? He asks. It was good, I reply, a smile gracing my lips. It feels like a new beginning, not just for me, but for our relationship too. That's wonderful, Dr. Evans says, his voice genuine. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. You have the strength to build the family you deserve, whether it's with your blood relatives or the people you choose along the way. I hang up, feeling a surge of hope. The future may be uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, I feel empowered to face it head on.